No one has more state pride than New Mexicans. The vibrant culture, bold flavors, unique history, and dramatic landscapes under our Zia sun are like no other. And the people of New Mexico are a rare breed. As diverse as we are, together we breathe life and soul into this high desert land. A land that promises adventure. I'm Michael Newman, and as your host, I'll be taking you with me as I seek out the best the land of enchantment has to offer.
New Mexico, it feels like home to me. It feels so true. It's time well spent when I spend it with you.
Thanks for watching another episode of New Mexico True Television. I'm your host, Michael Newman. In this episode, we're exploring the town of Carlsbad and all its surrounding natural wonders. From the magnificent caverns below to the waters above, we taste and tour our way about town. Just over 1 hour west of Carlsbad, off US 285 and New Mexico 137, is Sitting Bull Falls Recreation Area. Driving through the sprawling desert outside of Carlsbad, where the expanses of cactus, yucca, and mesquite seem endless, you will find, tucked back in the hills, an oasis in the most unlikely of places. You have reached Sitting Bull Falls. To call this spring-fed 150-foot waterfall and its surrounding pools a haven feels like an understatement. The cascading gushing of the falls announces its plentitude, and the calm depths of its pools serves as an invitation. The enclave of historic picnic structures built during the New Deal by the Civilian Conservation Corps are another unique element of this locale, working to make Sitting Bull Falls a place for family gatherings as much as it is one for solitary repose. Trails will lead you to the pools where the waterfall originates, and for such a quick hike, the payoff when you crest the canyon walls makes one think for a split second that you might have cheated. This place is unbelievable. I'm wondering how I've never heard about it, and how am I the only one here on this hot summer day? It's gorgeous. The water is crystal clear and is definitely enticing, but I really want to make my way to see the waterfall from below. I decide to head back to the trailhead for the falls. A quick walk along the paved path makes for an easy route to my destination. And what a destination it turns out to be. Wow. Did I say it was gorgeous up on top? Not to belittle the pools up there, but having a pool with a giant waterfall as the backdrop is something else. I think I finally decided where I'm going to take in the waters. Nice and cool temperatures too. With the sun high in the sky above, I think it's finally time to take a dip.
1, 2, 3.
Yes, the water is cool, as in refreshing, so long as you keep moving. Just another day in the land of enchantment. 3 hours east of Las Cruces and only 20 miles south of the town of Carlsbad, off US 62 West, are the legendary Carlsbad Caverns. Under this vast limestone-crusted desert terrain is a wide opening in the plateau, the mouth to a cave more magical and mesmerizing than you'll find anywhere else on Earth. This is Carlsbad Caverns, one of our state's greatest wonders. Comprised of multiple chambers housing endless formations that are all at once sprawling, towering, hovering, and enveloping, they reveal themselves at every turn as you wander through this subterranean wonderland. There are several different tours for exploring the caverns, and I've opted for the ranger-led tour of the King's Palace, whose chambers are the deepest part of the caverns accessible to the public. Valerie leads me down a zigzagging trail to the gateway to the King's chambers, and with every step my anticipation grows, as do the number of questions I have. Like, what am I looking at, and how did it get this way? As simple as it sounds, it's baffling.
Okay, so the water collects on the surface from rain and snow melt, and then it percolates down slowly, very slowly through cracks and crevices. When it reaches the cave, then it drips. And those drips are what leaves behind minerals. The water evaporates, but the minerals stay behind. And so that's how stalagmites and stalactites are formed.
Okay, and what are the differences between the two?
So a stalagmite grows from the ground up, It might reach the ceiling, is a good way to remember it, and a stalactite grows from the ceiling down.
Okay.
And they grow depending on drip rate. So if it's dripping really fast, it's going to drip to the ground and stalagmites will be formed. If it's a slow drip, then you'll get stalactites.
And when the two meet, they form a column. Look at me, collecting knowledge the way those stalactites amass their drips. Slowly but surely.
This place, this room is humongous.
Yeah, this is called the King's Palace, which is really, really gorgeous. Over here is the King's Court. So waiting for the king to arrive with the guillotine hanging above him, which is a drapery, basically.
And you see a very pronounced column.
Well, you would think it's a column, and we wondered, and so we took a ladder one time and climbed up, and you can actually slip a piece of paper in between the two. They don't meet. So that formation is called the frustrated lovers.
That's awesome.
So as we enter into this little cave, we blasted this 83 years ago so we could connect the two chambers. And over the 83 years, these little tiny baby stalactites have formed about the size of the tip of your baby finger. So 83 years, pretty cool.
Per millimeter. Man, the reverberation here is so crazy.
Isn't it great?
Narrow tunnels between the chambers, minimal lighting, and the quiet, echoing nature of the cave's architecture lend to a feeling of total immersion. And if I wasn't already tapping into the cave experience, Valerie was going to ensure that I would be soon.
I'm going to give you an experience like you've never had before. It's going to be total darkness to the point where you're not going to be able to see anything.
Okay.
So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Should I sit down first?
You might want to. Yeah, that would be a good idea. So the darkest dark that you can ever imagine, your eyes can't even focus on any tiny beam of light.
Am I dreaming?
Sitting in the darkness, I couldn't help but wonder how it felt for the people who first ventured into the cave, like Jim White, who first discovered it.
But Jim White was a 16-year-old boy, and he was out ranching the land, and he saw what he thought was smoke. And so he rode over on his horse to investigate what he assumed was a fire, and it was actually the bats exiting the cave. And when he saw the mouth of the cave, that intrigued him to want to know more. And so he made these rickety ladders and came down here with kerosene lamps and spent, 40, 50 years exploring the cave over his lifetime.
Man.
Can you imagine coming into this
As a
cave
kid.
as a kid in the pitch darkness? You'll really brave, I think, of him.
I consider myself an adventurous and curious spirit, but I pale in comparison to Jim White.
So up here, this formation is called the Orchestra, and you can see the conductor with his arms up,
Yeah.
and then the one playing the violin.
That's crazy.
Really pretty.
It looks so fragile. Like it's like little thing, but
It
they're
is,
bent.
yeah.
It's cool.
Awesome.
Play on, maestro.
So this area is called the Papoose Room.
Valerie points out the statuesque formation for which the room is named, as well as the appropriately named soda straws, who in their more mature years will become stalactites. After my tour of the King's Palace, I head to the big room to take in some of the cave's most notable and spectacular large formations. In exploring its many chambers, translating the scope and majesty of the caverns eludes me, so I reflect on the poem by William Felter. Here Titans toiled to rear this vast cathedral of the depths. No word can picture all the loveliness that nature here has fashioned for the eye. Here, pompous man sinks into nothingness. His deeds must pall before the infinite. What words cannot explain, though, experience will convey. You must see it for yourself. If you make it to King's Palace, look for the smudge marks on the walls where early explorers left handprints to help them find their way out of the cave. If you're able to go between April and October, don't miss the bat flight at dusk. If you're an adventurous traveler, you may want to check out some of the other tours like the Spider Cave or Hall of the White Giant. Don't go away, we have a few things to whet your appetite coming up.
Do you need a reason to hit the road? Find out about upcoming events around the state at newmexico.org.
And now from the pages of New Mexico Magazine. Situated on the banks of the Pecos River, the town of Carlsbad goes back to the late 1800s. And for a city its size, the local food scene is impressive. With its landmark caverns, Carlsbad brings in plenty of hungry travelers, and the restaurateurs in town know how to take care of them. The first place we headed was the Red Chimney, and as the sign outside promises, here you'll find real pit barbecue.
The ambiance undoubtedly adds to the experience, but at the heart of it all is the barbecue. The meat is all slow cooked in a barbecue pit the old-fashioned way, using local pecan wood giving it a true southern barbecue flavor. This place is a family establishment. 3 generations in, they hold true to their family's roots in Kentucky. And while they may not give away any family recipes, you can at least take some of the flavor home with you in a bottle. Another go-to spot is the Lucky Bull Grill, housed in the old City Hall. The revamped interior with an open floor plan, along with a bar serving up several New Mexico brews, makes it a solid choice for a quick lunch or relaxed dinner. Raising the bar and adding a few twists on old standards like nachos, burgers, and sandwiches, their menu is sure to satisfy. And with the name Lucky Bull, in a town rooted in cattle, you know the ribeye or one of their specialty burgers is a good bet. For a meal al fresco, head to Yellow Bricks down the street. Housed in a 1928 bungalow, this place packs in the charm and the flavor. Pulling from an array of influences, Chef Eddie Gutierrez executes an inspiring and diverse menu while delivering on their steak and seafood staples. And as delectable as each dish is, the impeccable presentation gives it that extra wow factor. With so many great options, the only problem you will face is in trying to decide on what to order. And last but certainly not least is the not-to-be-missed Trinity Hotel and Restaurant, where you will find the quintessential fine dining experience under the tin-roof ceiling of this historic and unique property, which also sports a humidor in the building's old bank vault and features wines from the Balzano family vineyard. Their breakfast, lunch, and dinner menus attract the crowds around the clock, but I stopped in to take advantage of their daily afternoon wine tasting featuring their Seven Rivers wines.
Very good. I mean, is this my whole experience is going to be me saying, yes, this is good, this is good.
Needless to say, I'm impressed and eager to learn more from proprietor Dale Balzano on how he brought new life to this old building and to the Carlsbad restaurant scene.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of experience were you trying to create with the restaurant and the hotel? Because it has a very specific aesthetic of a certain classicness to it.
Well, I have to give credit to my son. He's the one that really designed what we were going to do. Mm-hmm. This was the first building in Carlsbad. It started in 1886, was finished in 1888. If you look at the pictures on the wall, there was nothing in this town except this building. And so the community grew up around this building, and this building has had such a history here. The first newspaper was in it, the first lawyers. Everything that started Carlsbad was started in this building. When we stepped up, we did have a lot of support around the community. This bar was built by retired submarine sailors, and the rail up here was built by the fire marshal here in town. Different people in the community helped us when we were doing this project.
So talk to me about the menu and pairing with the wines, and was that strategic? Like, what is the certain type of food that you guys have here?
Well, you know, we specialize in Italian, mm-hmm. and we do great steaks, and we do some of the best fish in this part of the state. Our menu is basically the same as the day we opened. There's a few things we've changed. We run some specials, but what we do well. Our goal was from the start to create something that was not found anywhere else in town. Right. That was our goal, mm-hmm. and I think we have done that. The neat old building, the original ceiling that was here in 1888, it just has a great feel to it. And then with us having our own winery and vineyard and being able to do our wine in the restaurant was something that we had talked about. All of it kind of flows together.
Absolutely. So I couldn't agree with you more.
After enjoying a wine tasting and a nice dinner, really make a night of it and book a room at their boutique hotel. If you can, reserve the room with the building's other bank vault, and make sure and ask any of the staff about their favorite tales of the building's ghost, Ruby. And if you want to taste more wines, be sure to visit the Balzano Vineyard tasting room right outside of town. For more great stories like this from New Mexico Magazine, visit newmexico.org. Up next, we meet some very talented Carlsbad residents.
Follow the Green Chili Cheeseburger Trail and the Breakfast Burrito Byway at newmexico.org.
And now, here's another New Mexico true treasure.
Hi, I'm Sheena Neese, and I think that White Sands National Monument is a New Mexico true treasure. White Sands is like no other place that I've ever traveled on planet Earth. When you're driving down in southern New Mexico and all of a sudden you see the white sand appearing, it's like, this place is drawing me in. I have to go in and see what it's about. The color and the contour of the light at all times of day is just magical. My favorite time of day was when the sun started to go down and you could see it casting light on the mountains in the distance and the contours of the dunes changing. The skies all over New Mexico are why people, I think, keep coming back. And in White Sands especially, the dunes are just so sparkly, crystally white that the contrast with the blue skies makes for really dramatic photographs. You feel so isolated and small, but also you can feel the expansiveness of the universe.
On the northwestern end of Carlsbad off New Mexico 524 West is the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens. This New Mexico State Park is devoted to representing the ecosystem of the Chihuahuan Desert, its trails weaving you through the various landscapes of the region, as well as the habitats of more than 40 native animal species, the majority of them being rescues.
So Catherine, can you tell me a little bit about what you guys do here at the Living Desert Zoo?
And we are a very unique zoo. We talk only about the Chihuahuan Desert, which is where we are located in Carlsbad. And it's a desert with a lot of altitudes, a lot of different geology. So along the trail, we actually recreate different areas of the desert so you feel like you're in natural areas. Okay. And the plants grow as they would in nature and the animals are in natural exhibits along the way.
Just as we enter the sandhills, I catch a glimpse of something circling in the sky above us. Immersion is right, but more birds are on the way, and at a much closer vantage point. My first encounter is with a golden eagle, whose gaze makes me wonder if he's sizing me up. If you're lucky, you've seen some of these birds out in the wild, but probably less likely that you've had the opportunity to exchange such curious glances with them.
And then we have our red-tailed hawk.
They're both huge.
And I don't know if you can see from this angle, but the red-tailed hawk is missing an eye.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, they have binocular vision, and with one eye, she can't judge distances, which is why she's here.
But it's so majestic still.
Yeah, aren't they something?
Leaving the aviary, our winged escort continues to soar above us as we wander through the desert uplands and the gypsum hills, ultimately making our way to the habitat the beloved prairie dogs now call home.
These are our black-tailed prairie dogs. They live in colonies. They're large ground squirrels, and they actually have a sentry out most of the time who sits on a high place and watches for any danger.
Oh.
And they've had scientists study prairie dogs a lot, and it turns out that different colonies in different areas have their own dialects.
I've always known these little guys were cute, but turns out they have more going for them? Who knew?
We're coming up to Lena's exhibit. And Lena is a javelina,
Hey.
and she was actually found she was about 2 days old. Her mother was hit by a truck along the highway, and they stopped to see what they had hit. And there was a mama javelina with 2 babies, and the other twin didn't make it. She died of hypothermia. And Lena was raised actually by someone here, then raised on a bottle, and she does not know how to be a wild javelina.
With the exception of the reptiles and some of the amphibians at this zoo, all of these animals are orphans or rescues, or have been bred in captivity so they are unable to live in the wild. Hearing their backstories makes me grateful this place exists, giving them a safe environment to live and educating us humans on these wonderful animals. And I'm about to meet one of the superstars of the zoo, and we've timed it just right. It's her feeding time.
And you can see how she's hiding some of it, and Maggie will come out and be able to see and forage for her food.
Maggie is a black bear and the zoo's resident artist. For enrichment, Maggie was taught how to paint, and her abstract paintings have been sold nationwide. Proceeds from her art sales support the zoo's rescue efforts and continuous care for her and her fellow animals. Way to go, Maggie! While wandering on the trail, keep an eye out for tracks. Lots of critters can be found outside the exhibits. Inside, check out the interactive exhibits where you can make your own tracks. And don't miss the nocturnal exhibit where you can get a first-hand experience of seeing some of these animals' night vision. Up next, we show you how to roll on the Pecos River.
Sign up to receive monthly newsletters about events and happenings around the state at newmexico.org.
Running through the center of town, and what many would claim is the heart of Carlsbad, is the Pecos River. Regardless of the city and what pace may exist elsewhere, along the banks of a river, things slow down. And here in Carlsbad, it's no different. In the heat of the day, the river is here to cool you down, let you splash around, provide the backdrop for your picnic, or even hop on a boat to take a cruise. At the Lake Carlsbad Recreation Area, Carlsbad Cruises offers daily tours down the Pecos, where you can sit back and enjoy a calm and quiet ride down the river while learning about the history and architecture of the town surrounding it. Another means for skimming the surface of the river is renting one of their kayaks or paddle boards, and for me, it was no question.
I'm actually doing it. Excellent. All right, have fun.
And there's nothing that says you need to paddle the whole time. The gentle breeze in the palms may just signal it's time to take a rest. After lounging under the summer sun, what's better than having a cool afternoon treat prepared for you? Let me tell you, nothing sounds better than a snow cone right now.
What's the best seller?
Our blue coconut's probably the best.
Blue coconut? All right. Can I get that blue coconut with a little bit of strawberry?
Yes, sir. You sure
All right,
can.
let's do it.
Here you go.
I haven't had one of these since I was a kid. This is like so beautiful and amazing. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
If kayaking on the water's not your thing, be sure to enjoy the 3 miles of public parks and walking trails along the river to relax and have a picnic. And if you go during the winter months, you can see the shores light up by taking a Christmas on the Pecos tour. Another site worth checking out on the river is the Pecos Flume, the only place in the world you'll see a river crossing itself.
So as you can see, the Carlsbad area has a plethora of things to enjoy, from the majestic caverns below to the peaceful Pecos River. So with that being said, what are you doing next weekend?